Welcome back. Today we're diving into a really fascinating period in history, a time of huge change in ancient India, when people started asking some of the biggest questions you can imagine. Let's get right into it.
We're starting here, at the Stupa in Sarnath. Now, this isn't just a pile of old bricks. This place is special. It's a monument to a single moment in time, the exact spot where one person shared a revolutionary idea that would ripple across the globe.
All right, let's set the scene. We're winding the clock back about 2,500 years to ancient India. And I want you to imagine a place that's just buzzing with energy. This was not a quiet time. It was an era of total transformation.
Life was changing, and it was changing fast. You had new cities popping up all over the place, powerful kingdoms were getting bigger and bigger, and all this change meant that people started looking for deeper answers. Thinkers from all walks of life began to ask, what's all this for? What's the true meaning of life? So, this search for meaning gave rise to a whole new wave of thinkers. These weren't your typical kings or generals. These were philosophers and sages, people who stepped back from the daily grind to think about, well, existence itself. One of the big questions they tackled was about us. Is there some part of me that's permanent? They called this the Atman, the individual soul. It's this idea that deep inside every single one of us, there's an essence that lasts, even after we die. But they didn't just look inward. They looked outward too, and thought about the Brahman. This was their name for the universal soul, the ultimate reality that connects everything and everyone in the entire cosmos.
And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. They reached this profound conclusion, that the individual soul, the Atman, and the universal soul, the Brahman, weren't separate things at all. They were actually one and the same. Now think about that for a second. If the spark of life inside you is part of the great cosmic fire, it changes everything.
Now, let's see how these huge ideas played out in one person's incredible journey. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, a prince who would become known to the entire world as the Buddha.
So Siddhartha had it all, literally. He was a prince. But he left it all behind. He just walked away from his palace to find the truth. He spent years wandering, debating with other thinkers, but still, nothing clicked. So he decided to find his own way, meditating for days and days under a tree until, finally, he attained enlightenment. And from that moment on, he was the Buddha, which just means the wise one.
So what did he figure out? Well, the Buddha taught that the root of all our unhappiness is this thing he called tanha. It literally means thirst or craving. It's that constant wanting more, wanting something different, that keeps us feeling dissatisfied and makes us suffer. He often taught these big ideas through really simple stories. One of the most famous is about a woman named Kisagatami. Her son had died, and she was just overwhelmed by grief. She went to the Buddha for help. The Buddha listened to her, and he made her a simple promise. He said, "I can help you, but first you have to bring me a handful of mustard seeds from a house where no one has ever died." And of course, she was overjoyed and ran off to find one. So she went from house to house, but at every single door, she heard a story of loss. A father, a mother, a husband, a child. There wasn't a single home that hadn't been touched by death. And in that moment, she understood. Her suffering wasn't a unique curse. It's a universal part of being alive. Now, what's so amazing about this period is that at the exact same time the Buddha was teaching, another great seeker was on a very similar journey. His name was Vardhamana Mahavira, and he became the most famous teacher of Jainism. It's really interesting when you see their lives side by side like this. Both were princes who left behind lives of comfort. But while the Buddha taught a path of moderation to find peace, Mahavira believed that knowing the truth required following some very, very strict rules. And the absolute core of Mahavira's teaching was ahimsa, or nonviolence. And this wasn't just a gentle suggestion, it was an unbreakable rule. Do not hurt or kill any living being. Why? Because, as Mahavira said, to all things life is dear. What a powerful idea. Following this path took incredible discipline. His followers, the Jainas, had to live really simple lives, be completely honest, and never steal. And for the most devoted, it was even stricter. They had to observe celibacy, and men had to give up literally everything, even the clothes they were wearing. So, these powerful new ideas from both the Buddha and Mahavira were amazing. But ideas need a community to survive, right? This led to a whole new kind of social group, something that was truly radical for its time. They called it the Sangha.
It was basically an association for anyone who left home to search for truth. And in a world that was strictly divided by caste, this was a huge deal. It didn't matter if you were a high-caste Brahmin, a merchant, a worker, or even a slave. In the Sangha, none of that mattered.
Now, as these communities got bigger, they needed a place to live, especially during the monsoon season when you just couldn't travel. This led to the creation of monasteries, known as viharas. But they were more than just shelters, they became these incredible centers of learning.
And check this out. This is an amazing example. This is a vihara carved directly into a hillside. Can you just imagine the sheer dedication it took to create a space like this for meditation? You can almost feel the history inside those walls.
So you've got these profound new ideas and the communities built around them. But how did they actually survive and spread to become major world religions? I mean, why are we still talking about them thousands of years later?
Well, a few key things made all the difference. Both the Buddha and Mahavira taught in Prakrit, the language of ordinary people, not some stuffy, scholarly language that no one understood. Their followers traveled all over, and local people supported them with food and medicine. It was this grassroots movement that allowed Buddhism to spread all across Asia and Jainism to flourish throughout India.
So 2,500 years ago, a time of rapid change pushed people to look for new ways to live a meaningful life. It really makes you wonder, in our own time of crazy rapid change, what are the big questions that we're trying to find answers to today?